Hi, my name is Jill Michael. I'm the founder of Kith and Kin. Kith and Kin is an old-fashioned term for friends and family because we know that there's no one way that you care for the people you care about. Your support circle is very different person to person and situation to situation. We named our app the KinKeeper because we know that most of you don't think about yourselves as caregivers. You just think about yourself as mom or spouse or the oldest child of an aging parent. In essence, you're the one who has all the stuff and knows all the stuff and is therefore in charge of all the stuff. And you need a place to download your brain so somebody else can Google it so you can share information and share the load. One of the most important features of your KinKeeper is the fact that you can have all your people all in one place. I say people, but you see Scout here because what we heard from so many people is that, look, I'm a paw parent and my pet is part of my family. So you know what? If you care for it, we've got a place for it. So let's just jump in and take a quick tour through the app through the eyes of a parent, in this case, taking care of a young child, Hunter. So your KinKeeper is organized into a few primary spaces. First is this overview. It's a home screen. Does exactly what you would think it does. It gives you an overview of your information kind of at a glance. So if you're new to the solution, it'll give you a little bit of getting started. If you need a little bit more guidance, there's a few questions in here to help you kind of figure out what you want to be doing at the time that you come in as you're getting started or continuing your journey. It also gives you your week at a glance, right? So maybe you have some upcoming doctor's appointments or some prescription refills and the like. And then it also gives you recent updates. This could be information that you've put in, or it could be information that somebody else has put in that you just need to be up to date on. Next is your information tab. Think about this as kind of your health wallet, right? This is where all of your basic information is that you would need to, I'll call it, kind of fill out your form, so to speak. So this is everything from allergies to appointments, conditions. Files can be photos of anything from rashes to discharge procedures or documents maybe you've downloaded from a portal or the like. ID cards, that can be anything from your driver's license to your passport to your insurance ID to your VA information or your AARP card if you're like me. Medications, I'll just quickly hop into this because medications are particularly important because our users told us, particularly those users who've been on a very long health journey, have said, look, it's great that my patient portal or my doctor has my list of current medications, but quite frankly, I'm the one telling them when I show up. What I really need is a list of all of my prior medications as well, and all of the things that I've tried over the years. You know, I tried amlodipine, that made my feet turn purple. I tried Percocet, that gave me a rash. Maybe you're on a behavioral health journey and you've tried 11 things for your child and they had mood swings and other issues. You need to be tracking that because it's important, just as important to know what you've been on and why you're no longer on it as it is to know what you're on today. You can also have everything from notes to doctors, procedures, questions. So say you're sending a spouse, a significant other, a sibling to the doctor with a loved one and you want to include those questions. Maybe, just maybe, you want to organize them here in questions instead of on the family text thread in between the cat memes. And also to-dos, which I'll show you in a moment, vaccinations and the like. One of our most commonly used features is actually notes. So people tend to kind of fill out their information, but then every day they're getting more information. Somebody told them a thing, they went to a doctor, they needed to make a quick note. So in this case, you can go into notes. You can use the talk to text feature, the little microphone on your phone, put a couple notes in here, label whatever that information is so that you can find it later. You can set a reminder. You can link other information to it. Maybe it's a prescription or something else. And you can also add a photo. I say that not because photos are revolutionary, but because we watched so many people really try to go in and say, okay, well, now I have a note in notes on my phone or in the text thread, and then I have a photo somewhere in my camera reel. I don't know where that is, but I got to scroll through 26 pages of photos to find a thing back in June that looked like a document and the like. And so that's really that feature allows you to have all of that information all in one place. Now, as it's somebody who's, you know, maybe part of the Google generation who just wants to throw stuff in there and search for it later, have at it, enjoy. For those of you who are folder people, binder people, organization people, might want to organize something into a thought thread here, we've created this topic or this concept called topics. So with topics, you can add any topic, name it whatever you want, and you can take any piece of information you've put in Kith and Kin in your KinKeeper, and you can tag it to one or as many topics as you want. So in this case, this was a note about Hunter's seizures. And so I'm here going to click this. And so that just as easily as I did that, what that essentially did was take that, organize it into that topic of seizures. And then what that allows me to do is kind of, if I think about how this screen with my information was helping me with my, what I call my fill out my form problem, topics helps me with my tell my story problem. And the reason I say that is because so many of our users said, look, I go to a new doctor and I have to start my story over again, right? And I tell them usually about 70% of the story. And I tell every new doctor maybe 70% of the story because it's the 70% I can remember at the time, and it's a different 70% each time. So just as simply as tagging something to seizures, now everything you've ever tagged to seizures is all in one place. So instead of me saying, okay, so he had his first seizure. We were living in Nashville. It was hot. So I think we went to Vanderbilt like back in June. He was like 1 at the time. Now I can say, oh, his first seizure visit was to the ER at Vanderbilt back in June of 22. They diagnosed him with febrile seizures. They asked me to track his seizure incidence and the length over a period of time. We went to see Dr. Baker. And then the notes that we just put in a few moments ago show up right here in the notes, and then maybe they gave me a prescription. But now, just as simply as tagging something, I've kind of organized my virtual binder for me in a way that allows me to aggregate information and ultimately to export that, to share that with whomever I want. And I can talk about that in a moment as well. Your last screen is your upcoming screen, and this is really meant to be kind of your global to-do list. There's also one for all your people kind of up in this hamburger menu here, but if you're the KinKeeper for multiple folks, but there's also one on each profile that will give you everything from doctor's appointments to maybe medications that need a refill to a vaccination that expires and the like. You can also use it to set to-dos and actually create tasks for yourself or for other people. We call this the Nag Your Family So You Don't Have To feature, where you can go in and say, look, I need something done here. Everything falls on me. I spend half my time doing things and the other half my time helping people help me. I just want to be able to put something in. Here's my task. I want to say what I need them to do. Just mark it as complete when it's done. Sometimes I need trust but verify, right? I may need you to put in a note or add the appointment details or the like. I can maybe it's a recurring task. Maybe I need to put some details in here for the doctor or some other information. I can also link it to a doctor and a couple of other pieces of information, maybe a medication, if it's a medication refill down here in this included information. And I can assign it to someone or I can request help on this. So if I select request help, everyone on this profile will get a notification that I need help, or I can be like, nope, I need Brian to do that, and then Brian will get that notification, and that will then show up on Brian's upcoming list, and he will continue to get notifications until that task is complete. The last thing I'll show you is the sharing function. So our sharing function is really important because people told us, look, I don't want a solution that makes me share everything with everybody or nothing with anybody. That's not how I work in real life. There's a reason I download my very secure folders or very secure files from my patient portal, and I take screenshots of them and I put them on the family text thread because I want some people to know certain things. I want other people to know other things. And so we built KinKeeper designed for the KinKeeper to make it easier for them to share what they want with whom they want so the right people have the right information at the right place and time. So in your KinKeeper, you can choose to share the entire profile with someone. You can choose what you want them to be able to do with it. So in this case, Rachel's the mom. She's the owner. She's the one who can add, edit, delete. She's also the only one who is able to choose what gets shared with whom because she doesn't want people oversharing information. She trusts Brian, her hubby, but he's an editor. That means he can add, edit, and delete information, but he cannot set sharing permissions in the app. There today is one owner in KinKeeper. There's a viewer, which is obvious, but you also see Josie here. Josie has a unique role. And she's a contributor, and that means she can add information, but she can only edit and delete the information that she herself has put in. That came from the user research from people who told us, look, I would love to have people help me, people that somebody who's looking in on dad, a home health aide, someone else who's helping me with my child, but I don't want them to be able to screw up my stuff. If they delete a medication or they delete an appointment or topic or doctor's information, that's really going to screw up my very carefully curated amount of information that I've gathered over the years. So that's what the contributor is able to do. They can't touch your stuff, but they can add their own. And last but not least, you can also share a custom access link. So back to the earlier point about I maybe want to share some information with some people and other information with other people. I can actually go in, I can email or text a link. I can choose when I want it to expire. So maybe I want it ongoing. I don't want it to expire, or maybe I just want to select an expiration date. So maybe I have a home health aide for the next couple of weeks, or a babysitter for the weekend, or I have a family member staying with a loved one. And what I really need them to have access to is just a couple basic things, maybe allergies, conditions, medications, doctor's information, or maybe I've created a topic called babysitter, like this is down here. And instead of sending the same information via text or writing it on the refrigerator or leaving it on a notebook on the kitchen table, I can send a link, the same link every time I have a new babysitter, and whatever information I've included in that topic now can be shared with that individual at any time. So that is the app in a nutshell. There's a few other features that most of you are familiar with, things like search and the like. But that's the app. I hope that it helps you. I know that being a kin keeper is a really, really tough job. And whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for someone you love, our goal is to help you care for those you care about. Thanks so much for being part of our Kith and Kin.